We're at the Mishnah on Daf Chavav Amud Aleph. We're talking here about the various different lotteries that they made in the Beis HaMikdash every day for all the different avodas that the Kainim did in the Beis HaMikdash, and we're holding here in the Mishnah that we'll discuss the last two lotteries that they made in the morning. Zok the Mishnah, Payas HaShlishi, the third lottery, Chadoshim L'Kteires Bo. They would announce in the Beis HaMikdash Kainim that are new to this Aveda of Kteires, that have never had the opportunity to do the Kteires, come, Boyu ve'efisu, come and take part of this lottery. So that was this, that whole Geidel was just for the Kteires. V'horevi, then the fourth and last lottery for the day, Chadoshim im Yishonim, they would say that now, old ones, new ones, anybody that wants could come, and what's this Geidel for? Mi maile evarim and akevesh lamizbeach. Who will bring up the limbs and the different parts of the animal that were placed at the bottom of the ramp of the Mizbeach, as we learned about it in the previous Mishnah? Who's going to bring it up to the top of the Mizbeach to be burnt on the Mizbeach? Zok the Mishnah, Zok the Gemara, that is, Tana, we learned in the Braise, Me oilam leishana adam ba. A person, a Kayin, never did the Aveda of the Ketores more than once. That's why it says there that they made the announcement, Chadoshim. Only Kayin that never had the opportunity to do it before should come. My time, and what's the reason? Amar Rab Chanina, so Rab Chanina says, Mipnei shema sheres, because it makes you rich, so they want to give the opportunity for everyone to become rich. From where do we see that Ketores makes you rich? Amar Rav Papa, La Abaye, my time, what's the source for this? If you'll say the source is Mishum Dechsiv, the pasuk says, Yasimu Ketayra Ba'pecha, they placed the Ketores in front of you, Uksiv Basrei, and right after this it says, this is in the Psukim in Parshas Azinu, or in Parshas V'zayis HaBracha, where it talks about the brachas that was given to Shevet Levi. So it says that they placed the Ketores in front of the Eibishter, and right afterwards it says, Baruch Hashem Chelei, the Eibishter should bench your power, referring to your money. So we see that if you do the Aveda of the Ketores, you get the brach of the Eibishter to become rich. If so, Oila Nami, if bringing a carbon oila, you should also become rich. Because Vaksiv, right over there in the pasuk, it also says, V'chalil al mizbechecha. And you have the carbon that's brought completely burnt on the Mizbeach, which refers to the carbon oila, that becomes totally burnt in the Mizbeach. So why only the Ketores you become rich? You should become rich with the carbon oila. Amalei, the Gemara answers, Ha shchiche, the carbon oila is common, it's brought every day. You have the carbon tamid that's brought every day, twice a day, and there could be other carbonis oila that are brought every day. And vaha loy shchiche. But the Ketores is not shchiach, is not common. So Rashi here explains the Gemara's answer that it makes sense to say that if there's a special bracha of being rich, so then it's only for those that are doing this uncommon Aveda. But the common Aveda that's there every day, so everybody's going to become rich. That's what Rashi says. So the Rishayim asked the question on Rashi, maybe everybody becomes rich. Who says, what's the problem? The Eibishter has a shortness of making all the Kainim rich. So some Mefarshim say that it's not mistaber to say that all the Kainim were deserving to become rich and that they all became rich. Not all of them were deserving to become rich. So therefore Rashi says it doesn't make sense to say that all the Kainim became rich. That's one pshat. Another pshat I saw it says is that PMS, what the Gemara is answering is a very interesting pshat. What the Gemara is saying is because of what it says in the pasuk, really everyone should become rich. The ones that do the Ketores, the ones that do the oila, they should all become rich. But what the Gemara is saying is the Ketores is not such a common aveda. The Kayin that got this chance to do the Ketores, so he did it with all the kavanah and with all the excitement of the mitzvah. So therefore he became rich through bringing the Ketores. The oila, which could be brought so many times every day, it's shchiach, so the kind that brought the oila did not do it with the proper kavanas and with the proper excitement, so therefore, even though theoretically you would have become rich, but if it wasn't done the proper way, you didn't become rich of it. Therefore the Gemara is saying, Loi shchiche, so by the oila, b'payal, the kind didn't become rich from it. Kalil refers to the oila. Because right, that's the same pasuk. Right before Baruch Hashem Chelei, it says Kalil Mizbechecha. Amar Rave says, Le Mishkachas Tzur B'Mirabanan, you don't find a Talmud Chacham, the mighty, that will paskin halachas, not just to learn and know and have the knowledge, but to be able to paskin halachas, and his psak should be accepted, Ela the Asi Mishevet Levi. Only those that come from Shevet Levi, Oy Mishevet Yisachar, or from Shevet Yisachar. Levi, regarding Levi, D'chsiv Yoiru Mishpatecha LeYaakov. They are the ones that teach and judge for Yaakov, for the Yidden. So you see that they're the ones that teach the halachas. The Gemara is bringing this here because it's in the very same pasuk where it says over there in the same pasuk Yorim Mishpatecha and Yisimu Ketayra. Yisachar, the Chsev, Yisachar, Yede Bina Li'itim, they know, they have the knowledge of understanding the times, which refers to establishing the new month and so on. Ladas, Mayasi Yisrael, to know what Yidden have to do. So we see that Yisachar paskins the halachas for the Yidden. So the Mefarshim say it doesn't literally mean that there's no other Shevet that has no Talmidei Chachamim or no Rabbanim to paskin halachas, but it means that if you see like a group of people, that there's many together, that they all have this koyach to paskin, it must be that they come from either Levi or Yisachar. So the Gemara asks, Ve'emi Yehuda, if you have these psukim, I'll bring you a pasuk regarding Yehuda as well. Nami d'chsev, pasuk in Tilim that says, Yehuda mechoykeki, Yehuda the one that establishes the laws. And says the Gemara, Asuke shmaite aliba de hilchas kamina. The main thing that we're focusing on over here is someone that could paskin a halacha and it should be accepted la halacha. Could be Yehuda as the koyach to learn and paskin, but his opinion will not be accepted la halacha. Levi and Yisachar have a koyach to learn and teach in a way that their psak should be accepted la halacha. Amar Rabbi Yechon, and now the Gemara continues the discussion regarding the lotteries that were made in the Beis HaMikdash, and really we only discussed in all the Mishnayos about the Geidalas that were made in the morning time, to be able to do the Aveda of the Tamid and the Ketores. What's with the Aveda that had to be done later in the afternoon? Amar Rabbi Yechanan, so Rabbi Yechanan said, Ein mefaysen al tamid shel ben arbaim. There is no separate lottery that's made for the carbon tamid that's brought in the afternoon. El kayin shezacha by b'shachris, zeiche by arvis. The kayin, the same kayin that zeiche in this in the morning, he's also zeiche in the afternoon by arvis. There's no separate lottery that's made for this. So the Gemara asks him this, but it says in the Braisa, Meisvei, Kishay, Shemefaysen, Shachris, just as there was the Geidel made in the morning, Kach Mefaysen ben Arbayim, so too you have the Geidel that's made in the afternoon. So it's clear Braisa that there is another Geidel made then. And says the Gemara, Kitanya hi b'Kteires. That was said only regarding the Kteires. Since we said that the Kteires, the Kayin only brought it once and not a second time, so regarding the Kteires, they did make a separate Geidel for someone else to have the opportunity to bring the Kteires. But not for anything else, not for the carbon tamid. Frek the Gemara, but Vatanya, we learned in another brayso where it says, Kishem shemefaysen loy shachris, just like the lottery was made for loy, for it, which is used as a lashon zachar, as the Gemara is going to explain here. Loy shachris kach mefaysen loy arvis. What do you see from the word loy? So basically, tamid is a lashon zachar, ketayres is a lashon nekeva. If the repetition of this geidel in the afternoon was only for the ketayres, it shouldn't say loy, a lashon zachar, it should say la, lashon nekeva, referring to the ketayres. The fact that it says mefaysen loy, what I see from this, it refers to the carbon tamid. So they did make a second time. So the Gemara answers, second, I skipped something. So the Gemara says, eime la. So you have to switch the word in this braisa from loy to la, in order for it to refer to the ketayres, which is a lashon nekeva. That's the answer for this. But now the Gemara brings another brayse where it clearly says, Vatanya, it says in the brayse, Kishem shemefaysen loy shachris, kach mefaysen loy arvis. Just like you had the lottery that was made for it, referring to the tamid, lashon zachar, in the morning, so too they made again the lottery in the afternoon for the tamid. And then it says, Ukishem shemefaysen lo shachris, just as they made the lottery again for the ketayres, lashon nekeva, kach mefaysen lo arvis. They made it again in the afternoon. So we see clearly here that they made separate in the morning and the afternoon. So this is the question on Rav Yechanan. Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak explains, this brayso that says they made again a lottery, is Shabbos askinan. It's referring to Shabbos, not every day. Why? Because on Shabbos, that's the day that the group, the new Kainim, were exchanging the old group that was there for the previous week. And the Seder was, when was the exchange? The one that were serving this week finished their Aveda with the Tamid Shel Shachris, and then the new group began their Aveda from the Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim. So it's a totally new group of Kainim that's going to be serving in the Beis HaMikdash for the following week. Therefore on Shabbos they did make a new lottery for the Kainim in the afternoon. The Gemara asks a question. Okay, so we concluded now that really on a regular day, there's only one pious that was made in the morning, and whoever was Zeich in the morning is also Zeich in the afternoon. So the Gemara now asks, Ulamai the Salika Daitan. And according to what we were thinking before, we were asking the question that we see from these braises that they did make a new lottery in the afternoon. So Lamai the Salak Adaitim Meikara, Nefishi Luhu Payasais. Wouldn't that mean that there's more than 4 lotteries in the Beis HaMikdash? We said in the Mishnayos that the Mishnah here, that there was only 4 lotteries. But if it was another one, according to these braises, if you would say that there was more, so there was more than 4, there was 5, there was 6. So the Gemara answers, no. The pshat of it, even according to what we thought before, Maisi kulu mitzafra also. They all come together in the morning to make the lottery. In Rashi, it's mashma that this word Maisi is not good. It seems to be an extra word here. They all come together, they gather for the lottery in the morning. The Zachi bei Shachris, the Zachi, Ba'arvis Zachi. So the one that was the Zachi Ba'arve Zachi. And so then when they gathered together for the lottery in the morning, they made the Geidel for the Avodah in the morning. And the one that was Zeicha in that Avodah was Zeicha for the morning. And the one that was Zeicha for the afternoon was Zeicha for the afternoon. Which means they didn't gather another time. The Mishnah is telling us that they gathered 4 times for the lottery. The only question is, when they made that lottery in the morning, did they then also include another lottery to be made for the afternoon or not? So Rabbi Yechanan says, the conclusion over here is that you don't make a separate lottery, you make it only once in the morning, and not separately for the day later. Okay, now according to the conclusion of the Gemara, it's not 100% clear. It is possible that, because the Gemara concludes that they made the lottery once in the morning and they didn't make again for the afternoon. So in between this discussion, the Gemara said that the Ketairis is an exception. For the Ketairis, they did make a separate lottery. But there's a machlokes in Mefarshim whether that's the conclusion of the Gemara. According to some, in the conclusion of the Gemara, they did not make a separate lottery for the Ketairis in the afternoon. The one that was Zeicha in the Ketairis got the Ketairis in the afternoon as well. So really, the Kayin that brought the Ketairis in the morning got the opportunity to do the Ketairis twice. And according to this, when it says in the beginning that nobody ever brought Ketairis twice, it means nobody ever brought the Ketairis twice on 2 different days. But on the same day, you can bring the Ketairis twice. But others say no. It means literally that the Ketairis could only be brought once in the morning, and then in the afternoon someone else brought the Ketairis. A different kind, correct. They had to make another. They made another Geidel. They made it together at the same time, but another in the morning at the same gathering. But another kind brought the Ketairis. Right. If you can make 2 Sandakais in the same day, so maybe. If it's a part of the.
If the Shachris and Arvis is
it's one Ketairis or 2 different Ketairis. Yeah. There are certain exceptions when you get to Sandakais where you could be a Sandak a second time for a brother for the same family. It says there are certain exceptions for it, a father or maybe a Rav sometimes. There are certain exceptions. Sagt the Gemara, Haravi Chadashim im Yishanim v'chulu. Said in the Mishnah, it came to the 4th lottery, so then everybody, all Kainim, were invited to gather, and what was that? It was for bringing the limbs that were placed on the bottom of the ramp to go onto the top of the Mizbeach. Says the Gemara, Masnisin, the like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Our Mishnah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Why? The Tnan, because we learned in another Mishnah, it says, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Aimer, Hamayle Varim lekevesh, the same Kainim, that bring the Varim to the ramp, Hu Maila Oisel Mizbeach. They also bring it all the way to the top of the Mizbeach. Okay, so they first put it at the bottom of the Mizbeach, and then later they bring it up all the way to the top of the Mizbeach. Same kainim, so you don't make a separate geidel for this. What's the argument between the Tana of our Mishnah and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov if there was separate kainim or the same kainim? Mar Savar, the Tana of our Mishnah that says that it was separate kainim holds, but the more kainim you involve in the Avodah, so the many people that are involved in this brings more honor to the Eibishter. That's our Mishnah. Mar Savar, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, no, the opposite. Makim Shchine, the place where the Eibishter is dwelling there, where the Shchine is, La Vayrachara. It's not customary to show that it's hard for you and therefore you're doing only half a job and you want someone else to finish the job off for you. It's no tircha, adarab. You want to show that you're ready to do the whole thing and bring it all the way up to the top of the Mizbeach. So therefore we don't give a half a job to one group of Kainim and a half a job to another group. Amar Rave, now Rave says, Loi Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Islay de Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov does not agree to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And Veloy, Rabbi Yehuda Islay de Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. And Rabbi Yehuda does not agree to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. What's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? So we had this before, and Rashi here quotes it. If you take a look into the last Rashi of the Amud, the Omar, I'm just reading a little bit from the Rashi, Rabbi Yehuda said, the Omar lehoya payas lemachta. Rabbi Yehuda said that there was no separate raffle that they made for the machta, which is the Ketairis. The Ketairis had 2 parts to the job. One part was to bring the coals from the outside Mizbeach to put it on the inside Mizbeach. Then the other job was to actually put the ketayres there on the Mizbeach inside. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, they did not make a separate payis for the machta. Okay? So what the Gemara here is saying is that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, we have to deduct one lottery that the Mishnah spoke about, right? The Mishnah here said, what was the fourth lottery? For the kain that's going to take it up the ramp. But Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov disagrees with that. So what was that fourth lottery according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? Who's going to be the kain that's going to do this aveda with the machta to take the pan and bring the fire from the outside Mizbeach to the inside Mizbeach? So therefore Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda, on the other hand, that holds that there was no separate lottery for that, holds that doesn't agree to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and says that there was a separate geidel for the one that brought it on the ramp. And the Gemara explains. The imkain, if they would hold from each other's opinions, if Rabbi Yehuda, that is, would hold of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's opinion, batzr luhu payases, it would come out that you're missing a geidel over here. And because you don't need the fourth geidel, so what was it? According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, what did they do for the fourth geidel? According to Rabbi Yehuda, what did they do for the fourth geidel? So you have to say that everybody agrees, the Gemara has a Kabbalah, everybody agrees there was a fourth geidel in the Beis HaMikdash. The only question is, what the fourth geidel was? Either the fourth geidel was to bring up the Eivarim from the bottom of the ramp to the top of the Mizbeach, or it was for the Machta to take the fire from the outside Mizbeach to the inside Mizbeach. Now the Gemara says, V'im mishkachas Tana, the Tani Chomesh, if you'll find a Tana that says that there were 5 geidalis. Okay, so it's interesting. In other words, the Gemara has a Kabbalah. This is the way the Mefarshim explains this. The Gemara has a Kabbalah that were definitely no less than 4 geidalis in the Beis HaMikdash. So therefore, we must say that Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and vice versa. So it shouldn't come out that it should be only 3. But it is possible maybe that there's a Tana that says that there were 5. Hahu, the like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, or the like Rabbi Yehuda. So that Tana will not agree to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and not agree to Rabbi Yehuda. That Tana will hold that there was a separate lottery made for bringing it up from the bottom of the ramp to the top of the Mizbeach, like our Mishnah said. And also, not like Rabbi Yehuda, there was another separate lottery that was made. Who's going to be the one that's going to bring the coals from the outside of the Mizbeach to the inside Mizbeach? So therefore it would come out that there would be 5 geidalis. So 3 we know for sure not. But it's possible that there was an additional geidel, that there was 5 geidalis in the Beis HaMikdash. Zok Mishnah, now we continue. We're done with the lotteries that were made in the Beis HaMikdash. Now the Gemara continues regarding the actual Aveda of the carbon Tamid. Tamid, Karev, Betisha, usually the carbon Tamid, how many Kainim are involved with it? 9 Kainim. Says Rashi explains, when it says 9, it's not including the Kainim starting from Shechita. It's talking about how many kainim are necessary, starting from when they had to take the limbs to the ramp of the Mizbeach. So not including the shchita, not the zrike, but from the halacha of the Eivarim. So there were 9 kainim involved in this. Ba'asara, sometimes there were 10. Ba'achadasa, sometimes there were 11. And b'shnei masa, sometimes there were 12. Loi pachais, not less than this. V'loi yaiseh, and not more than this number. And the Gemara explains when this is. Keitzad, how is this? Atzmai betes, on a regular day, the carbon Tamid itself included 9 kainim. And we had this before in the Mishnah. There were 6 kainim that brought the different parts of the actual animal itself to the ramp. In the Gemara Mishnah we learned before divided exactly all the parts. Then there was the carbon mincha, the flour that was brought, the sayla, the yayin, the wine, and then there was, so that makes it already 8. And what else? And then there was, am I missing something? It was the Seiles and the Chavitin. Yes, the Chavitin, which was the carbon mincha that the Kohen Gadol brought every day that was brought together. So that was number 9. So every day, on a regular day, it was 9. The Chag, then if it was on a Sukkos, so Biyad Echad, there was another Kohen that also had to bring Tzleichel Shalmayim, the jug of water. So Harei Kanasada, so that made it 10 Kohenim. Bein Arbayim, the carbon Tamid that's brought in the afternoon, Ba'achad Asar. So then it was 11. Why was it 11? Hu atzmai betisha, the carbon Tamid itself was always 9. And then there was additional 2 people, Shnayim, there was another 2 Kainim, biyadam shnei gizrei eitzim. They brought 2 logs of wood on the base, on the Mizbeach in the afternoon. The Gemara will explain that in the morning there was only 1 Kain that brought a log of wood, and it was actually that Kain that removed the ashes. He's the one that brought those 2 logs of wood, but it was only 1 Kain. In the afternoon, the Kainim that did the Aveda of the Tamid, there were 2 Kainim that brought a log of wood. So therefore it came out in the Ben Arbaim, there was 11 Kainim here. So Shabbos, and also on Shabbos there were 11. Ba'achad Asar. How is there 11 Kainim involved in Shabbos? Hu atzmai betisha. 9 Kainim for the carbon tamid itself, like every day. Ushnayim, another 2 Kainim. Biyadam shnei bezichei levayna. They were holding the 2 spoons, of levayna, the frankincense that was there, shalechem aponim, of the lechem aponim. So another 2 Kainim brought that to be burnt on the Mizbeach. When do you have 12? Ubishabbos shebetoich hachag, when it's a Shabbos that's on Sukkos, so here you're going to have a 12th kayin that's going to be part of them. Biyad echad sleichus shamayim, because in addition to the carbon talmud, which is 9, and then also the bziche levayna, which is another 2, which is 11, you had another kayin, which was 11, water. Okay, so which comes out to 12, yes. So to Gemara Rabba Vitaim Rami Bacham Vitaim Rab Yechanan Ein Menaschen Mayim Bechag. You don't pour the water on the Mizbeach on Sukkos Ele B'Tamid Shel Shachar, only in the morning, by the carbon tamid in the morning. Mimai, from where do I see this? Mediktani the Nisach HaMayim was only in the morning, not in the afternoon. Mediktani, because it says Ubishabbos Shebetoich HaChag, that when it was a Shabbos on Sukkos Biyad Echad Sleichus Shel Mayim. So then you had one with the water in it, with a jug of water. If you're going to say that also by the Talmud Shel Ben Arbayim. So menaschen, that you pour the water on the Mizbeach, b'choil nami mishkachas lo. So then it would come out that even in the afternoon you have 12 Kainim, because it said in the Mishnah that every afternoon you always have to have 2 additional Kainim to bring up 2 logs of wood. So that's already 11 Kainim. So if you have to also have the water brought every afternoon, so that's already 12 Kainim in the afternoon. So why are we saying only on Shabbos could there be a scenario where you have 12 Kainim? So it must be that there is no water that's poured in the Mizbeach by the Talmud Shel Ben Arbayim. Ravashi says, I'll bring you another raya from the Mishnah in Sukkah that the water poured in the Mizbeach was only in the morning and not in the afternoon. Because what does it say there? When the Kaim poured the water on the Mizbeach, they would say to him, Hag biyadcha, raise up your hand, so we could see clearly where you're pouring the water into. That you're pouring the water into that funnel that went into the Mizbeach and not pouring it on the side, on your feet. And the reason for this is because the Tzaddikim did not believe in this whole thing of pouring the water on the Mizbeach. There's no pasuk where it says it clearly. It's a halacha l'Moshe Sinai. There's a drasha from a pasuk. So the Tzaddikim didn't want to do this. So they wanted to be sure that he's going to pour it on the Mizbeach. So they told him, lift up your hand so we could see that you're not pouring it on your feet, but you're pouring it on the Mizbeach. What happened was, Shapam Achas, one time, Nasach al-Gabi Raglov, the Kayin poured it on his feet, V'ragmu kol ha'am b'asrigeyin, and they stoned him to death threw all their sreigim at him. So the Gemara wants to understand, as Rashi explains, why does it have to say how they killed him? They killed him with their sreigim. Why is that relevant? Shma mina, so from here I see, you know why it mentions their sreigim? To tell you that this happened in the morning. Because the whole mitzvah of Nisach HaMayim is only in the morning when you have the lulav and the esrog with you. But in the afternoon, you have no lulav and esrog, so there's no mitzvah of Nisach HaMayim. So this is another proof that the mitzvah of Nisach HaMayim is only in the morning.
Especially the food is
Huh?
a mistake.
The what? I can't hear you. No. He did it afka because he didn't want to fulfill the mitzvah because there's from the tzaddikim. Now the Gemara, tzaddik, yeah. The Gemara now goes back to the other detail that it said here in the Mishnah, that in the afternoon you need 2 kayanim to bring up 2 logs of wood. Not in the morning, only in the afternoon. Tanya Rab Shimon ben Chayim, minayin leTalmud Shel Ben Arbayim. Where do I know that when it comes to the Talmud in the afternoon, sheton shnei gizreitzim b'shnei kayanim, that you have to have 2 logs of wood brought in the Mizbeach through 2 kayanim? The answer is shenemar, because the pasuk says va'orchu eitzim, and they, using a plural term, should set up the wood. So 2 kayanim. And now it says this in the pasuk where it speaks about the preparing the mizbeach in the morning. But the Gemara says, Im eina inyan l'tamid shel shachar, but the pasuk is not needed to explain how you prepare the fire in the morning, because the chsiv, it already says right before that, Uvir alea kayin eitzim babayke, that the kayin will prepare and to consume, make the fire every single morning. Va'arach aleh, and he prepares it. so it already says it for the morning. So why does it repeat it a second time? Va'archu. So therefore I say that the extra pasuk is saying that in the afternoon you have 2 kayanim to bring up 2 logs of wood. But the Gemara asks on this, true, it's an extra pasuk, but maybe ve'ema, I should say, idi v'idi b'tomit shel shachar. Maybe the Torah is saying that it should both be done in the morning. You have one kain that comes and prepares the wood over there in the morning. That's the first time it says va'arach, and then it says the second time va'archu, that then you have two kain and bring up two logs of wood and put it on the mizbeach. Maybe it's both done in the morning. And so the Gemara says, va'amar achmana, maybe the Torah is saying, this is part of the question, maybe the Torah is saying, avid, v'hadar avid, do it once, prepare it once, and then have two kainim to come and prepare it a second time. So the Gemara says, no, if that's the case, imken ne'mekra uvier uvier. If the Torah wants you to do the same thing and repeat it twice, so it should say the same expression, the same terminology, and repeat it twice. So then I would know that it means to repeat it twice in the morning. So the Gemara says no, but that's not a question, because ikas of Rachmana uvier, if the Torah would repeat the exact same terminology again regarding the morning, havamina, I would think chad in trei loy, that you repeat it twice, but only with one kain, not with two kainim. Kamash Malon, so therefore the Torah is saying, the navet chad v'navet trei, that you prepare it twice in the morning, once with one kain, and a second time with two kainim. So basically the Gemara's question still remains, how do you know to explain that this refers to the afternoon and not to the morning? So the Gemara answers, Im kain, ne'mekra uvi eir uvi aru. If the Torah is saying that to be repeated, let it use the same expression of uvier, even if it has to use a plural term and say uviaru, but it should use the same expression. Why does it say a different lashon? Inami, or it should say va'arach va'archu, that they should prepare and use the same lashon va'archu, they, once a singular term, once a plural term, but my ubier va'archu. Why does it say once the expression of uvier, and then it says again va'archu, uses a different expression? So this proves what we said before, that one pasuk is for the morning, one pasuk is for the afternoon, and in the afternoon there was two kainim. In the morning it was one, in the afternoon it was two. Tani Rab Chiya Torah Braisa. Pious, when it comes to the pious that was made for the carbon tamid, pa'amim yud gimel, sometimes there were 13 kainim that were involved in this. This is the same idea as what it says in our Mishnah over here, but he's actually counting all the kainim from the shchita, as was mentioned in the previous Mishnah, that there were 13 kainim that had their Aveda from the Shechita going forward. Pamim Yudalit, sometimes there was 14 kainim, Pamim Tezvav, sometimes 15, Pamim Tezayin, sometimes 16. Just like it said in our Mishnah, because sometimes you have all the details that are mentioned in our Mishnah, when it's on a Shabbos, when it's in the afternoon, when it's on Sukkot, so there's additional kainim that are involved in the Aveda. Frag to Gemara Tanya Yud Zayin, there's another Mishnah that says that there are 17 kainim. And says the Gemara, Hahi deloy Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. This does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, Elo Rabbi Yehuda. It follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So as Rashi explains here and earlier in the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, this Mishnah that we had before and this Braisa makes sense, because Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says there's no additional kain that's needed to take the Eivadah from the bottom of the ramp to the top of the ramp. Whereas if you have that additional Aveda from the bottom of the ramp to the top of the ramp, then there's 17 kainim. In the case where you have the maximum, there'll be more because you have that additional Aveda to be done. So therefore, these two versions of these braises is the same machlekes as we had before between Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov and Rabbi Yehuda.